you'd like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'd like to welcome the Deputy Secretary. Appreciate you stepping in to speak to the President's priorities within the Department of Energy. I want to add to Senator Wyden's comments here in terms of timeliness of responses. I think members take these budget hearings very seriously. We need to understand where the administration is intending to go with their priorities, but I think it's also very, very important that the administration know where we're coming from in our priorities, and that is reflected in these QFRs, these questions for the record. And so it's not just an exercise where we ask our staff to dream up whatever it is that they think that the folks back home want to hear. These are important, and it's important that we receive responses in a timely manner. And so I just want to add to the comments of Senator Wyden, reinforcing that we take these very seriously, and the hope will be that the department will be fully cooperative. Last year, when the administration's budget came out, I expressed disappointment with the overall budget request. This year, unfortunately, is no different. I am, again, disappointed. I've said that as it relates to the full budget, the fact that the budget comes in 65 days after it was due, more than 2 weeks after the Senate has already moved through its own budget resolution. Those just make the process a little more complicated. I think you fully recognize that. But we're sitting here at $16.8 trillion in debt, and we've got a budget in front of us that adds more, tax trillions on top of what we already have going forward in this next decade, a budget that just doesn't come close to balancing. So this is tough for all of us as we try to, again, address the priorities, but do so in a way that is fiscally responsible. There's a lot of things that I don't like within this budget, but I'll start off with acknowledging a few areas where I think things are moving in the right direction. A greater emphasis on research and development. The R&D focus, I think, is just so key, so critical to us as we move towards an energy policy that, again, is affordable, abundant, clean, diverse, and secure. It's going to come about through our advances in technology. So I'm pleased with the focus on the basic research. I think it will promote the innovation and the breakthroughs that we need to establish commercial viability. You've got this new active project management at EERE, which will hopefully help the department become a better steward of taxpayer dollars. I think that that's a good thing. There's some things that clearly I am not in alignment with the administration. Chairman has noted that budgets are all about priorities, and we look for that. The administration has said repeatedly that they support an all-of-the-above energy policy, but I don't necessarily see that reflected in this budget here. Instead, it would appear that there are still the favorites, even amongst the renewables and the vehicle technologies. One example, the water power account is again cut despite the fact that hydropower is by far our largest source of clean renewable energy, electricity generation. Then there is the fossil R&D budget. As the chairman has noted, it remains almost exclusively focused on CCS and a fracking safety initiative. New supply from unconventional resources like methane hydrates, distant afterthought, if it's even a thought at all. And yet that resource could provide natural gas for thousands of years if it's commercialized. And yet DOE is looking at this, says $5 million here is less than 0.02% of the total request. If we're really going to move out and advance some of these breakthroughs, we need to show that support by way of the budget. I also want to mention two other areas where I do think that we might be able to find some bipartisan support, but yet I think the administration has taken a different approach. The first is energy taxes. Despite bipartisan support for the expansion of the Master Limited Partnerships, Senator Coons is leading on that. I'm pleased to be working with him. The administration, instead of looking to that, is once again going down the same path that we've seen time and time and time again, which is singling out oil, natural gas, and coal producers with increased taxes. Now, I get it. You're looking under every rock to find dollars for an increased budget, but we've demonstrated before that it's a bad idea. I think it's going to be demonstrated again that it is a bad idea. What we need to do, I think we all recognize, we need to be looking at how we reform a broken tax code, but singling out one industry is not going to get us there. I find it really quite surprising that the budget would make permanent the wind tax credit just months after the industry itself proposed a phase out there. And another area where I think we might be able to have some good conversations is in the establishment of a trust fund for energy research. I think it's a logical way, it's an enduring way to boost funding in that area. I have included it as a part of my Energy 2020 proposal. I think that we should be able to find some agreement, but what the administration does in its proposal is it takes new production in areas that are off limits and it takes them off the table. I'm looking at this and saying the only way that you're going to really be able to make this work is if you allow for new production and you take some of the portion of the revenues from that new production, and that's how you can fund this. But if we're taking it from the existing production in this country, you're just taking it from some other source that's already committed. So I'm afraid that if that's the approach that the administration is going to take on this, it's not going to go anywhere either, despite the fact that I think it's a promising concept. So we got to figure out how we make it all work. I do appreciate the opportunity to focus on some of the areas that we might be able to help encourage the administration, ways that we as a committee can advance good policy. And again, I appreciate you being here this morning.
Senator